and welcome to my Game of the Year video. Now, 2021, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, but it was a bit of a strange year for games. Despite the pandemic, enough titles were far enough along in development that 2020 actually had a fairly busy release schedule, not to mention the fact that the next generation consoles were launched. But 2021 felt a bit more, I don't know, up and down? There were some months that felt quite quiet, but the games that did come out, I think, made a big impact. And I really enjoyed quite a few games this year. High on my list of favourite games is of course Resident Evil Village, which I think did a great job in the lead up to its launch, just cheering us all up with excellent Lady D memes. Village started off incredibly strongly, but I feel it suffered somewhat from a really weak second half. I mean, I still had so much fun playing on the channel, don't get me wrong. Especially when it came to moments like this. No thanks, no thanks, no thanks, no thank you, no thank you, no ma'am. Actually, I'm kind of okay with it. Oh, no, I'm not. No. Yes. No, ma'am. Fucking. Oh. So we. Ma'am. It's just a little tighter. Oh, fuck. Freddy Krueger got sexy. Almost there, almost there. One game that I thoroughly enjoyed, despite not having it on my radar beforehand, was Returnal. It was exactly my kind of exacting gameplay, with enough mystery and intrigue to its narrative design to make you really want to keep pushing ahead, despite its difficulty. And every run was so varied and different, it was hard not to be tempted with one more go every time you died. No thanks! No thanks! I don't think I was quite as good at it as Ian was, but I just found myself coming back to it again and again after launch. It was just a game that I wanted to play as soon as I had 5 minutes spare at any point in the day. Plus, honestly, I can think of very few other games as good as Returnal at showing off some of the PS5's newer features. It looked stunning, the DualSense added so much to the experience, and the 3D audio was both terrifying and completely engrossing. It's one to check out for sure if it managed to pass you by. Then there were other expected and kind of unexpected hits for me. Given that Hades was my Game of the Year last year, it's probably a surprise to nobody that I poured a bunch more time into the console release. And that was time well spent. It's just pure comfort gaming for me at this point. I can sit down on the sofa and happily lose hours to it. But it was a surprise to me that House of Ashes was up there as one of my favourite games of 2021 as well. From the trailers, I was fully expecting not to enjoy it. A bunch of American soldiers hoorahing their way around an underground ancient Mesopotamian temple just sounded like a load of cliches waiting to happen to me. But the game turned out to be really quite well written. Characters had a lot of depth to them, shout out to MVP Salim, and the gameplay really was challenging at points. It was genuinely thrilling from start to finish, and honestly, I can't think of any other game I played this year where there were literal edge of the seat moments like this one. Motherfucker, yes! Oh, fucking beautiful. Oh, holy shit.
Did you seriously just throw that thing?
Oh my god.
I did.
Oh, this is lovely details. Look, there's a tree outside. One more game I didn't expect to get as swept up in as I did was Unpacking, which I really think deserves a special mention and a recommendation to play it for yourself if you haven't already. It's just a very special little game that you could feasibly complete in one sitting, and it takes you through important moments in its protagonist's life by unpacking their belongings every time they move to a new place. You never see them or hear them, but you get to know and care about them so deeply. And I think Unpacking is extra special because the way in which it tells its story, it could only be done in an interactive medium. For example, you move in with a new partner, and right from the start you know it's doomed, because there's very little space set aside for your things, meaning you need to hide away the items that mean the most to you. including your art supplies and a high school diploma that you've proudly been displaying in every home you've lived in since. It's subtle, it's incredibly clever, and it's a beautiful emotional journey. I mean, look at how much it reduced me to tears. I can't. Yeah. Alright, it's so tiny. It's also really tiny. It's a little hand. Oh my god. Okay, get a hold of yourself, girl. Alright, alright. And yet, even unpacking didn't quite make it to my top spot for Game of the Year. Nor did the Elden Ring closed network test, despite making a very strong case even though it isn't a full game. Yet. We'll just look forward to that early next year. Now, my Game of the Year probably isn't much of a surprise to anyone who has watched a lot of the channel and who knows my very strong feelings about the Life is Strange series. I was particularly excited for Life is Strange True Colors because of its developer Deck 9. Deck 9 had done such an incredible job on Life is Strange Before the Storm in 2017, and I just knew that the studio was going to shake up the series in the best possible way when it was given free rein to carve out a brand new story for itself from scratch. And it absolutely nailed it. True Colors focused in on everything that made the series so loved by its fans. A female protagonist, a coming-of-age story in a beautiful small American town, a murder mystery to solve, strong LGBTQ+ characters, a fascinating ensemble cast, barely explained supernatural abilities. And it somehow improved upon pretty much all of these features, and then some. Alex Chen, for one, was an absolutely standout protagonist. A woman of colour and, depending on how you played, a queer woman, she had had an unbelievably tough upbringing, and yet the game never once portrayed her as anything less than someone strengthened through hardship and completely in control of their own destiny. She was deeply empathetic and not a pushover. She was introverted and a great friend. In the same scene, she could be grieving and also reel off an incredibly funny one-liner. Her portrayal by Erica Mori is even more impressive when you know it's pretty much Mori's first and only role in games or beyond community theatre. She was amazing and supported by an equally amazing cast. And Deck 9's in-house motion capture studio made all of the performances so much more striking. Because of the technology, the game could utilise non-verbal cues and reactions just as easily as actual dialogue. And characters' faces and their eyes in particular were so expressive and definitely the best the series has ever looked. Yes, girl. Hello. It was clear from a lot of thought that had gone into True Colors that Deck 9 was listening to fans of the series. Rather than being released episodically, True Colors launched as a complete story, divided into chapters for those that wanted to savour the experience. It was a welcome change following Life is Strange 2's protracted release schedule that robbed that game of a lot of its narrative momentum. Some of the most memorable parts of Before the Storm were brought back, enhanced and elaborated on in True Colors, including the D&D game and one special returning character who really stole the show in every scene she was in. And having now spoken to a few of the performers and developers involved with True Colors, I know how much the project meant to each of them and how hard they worked on the game as a whole. It really makes me excited for the future of the series. And then there's the music. Always expertly chosen in the LAS series, but especially good here. And all of the flavour around the main story, the journal entries, the social media posts, the text between characters, the passing thoughts and feelings of townsfolk that can be sad, funny, hopeful, angry, and usually very well observed. The optional romances are a lovely diversion from the main plot too, and both Steph and Ryan are just the sweetest friends to Alex. This core trio's relationship is one of the highlights of the game. These are people you want to spend time with, in a place you'd want to spend time in. It's earnest and heartfelt without being embarrassing, and I think we all need a bit more of that in our lives right now. True Colors is an evolution of the series, with elements of open-world exploration being teased here and there, but in experimenting with new mechanics, it never forgets why Life is Strange was so meaningful in the first place. Mostly though, it is just really comforting to me that a game like Life is Strange True Colors can be made and can positively thrive in the gaming space. It proves that emotional, narrative-driven games can have an important place here. The games putting diverse representation at the forefront of what they do can loudly take up space and be celebrated. And that gamers want complex, interesting stories that aren't just about winning or saving the world. Sometimes, the most important thing you can do is just to see and acknowledge the feelings of another person, and know that your own feelings are valid too, and nothing to be afraid of. And I don't think that's ever been more relevant a lesson than in the year we've all just had. So that is my game of the year, but we've still got Ian's choice to come tomorrow, and as usual, he's gone for something a little bit different. Then we have our traditional 2021 highlights video going live on New Year's Eve, and what games tell us to expect from 2022 on New Year's Day. We will be back to our regular schedule from Tuesday the 4th of January, so we will see you then for plenty of new content and lots of new games as we all head into 2022. Until then, I hope you're all having a wonderful time no matter what you're doing this festive period. Look after yourselves, and I will see you soon. Bye!